Hey everybody, it's David Pingree with Vital MX. Today we've got another Vital MX race shop project here. This is our Yamaha YZ250F, the 2020 model. And this is the bike I'm gonna keep and ride for the year. Decided to kind of go away from 450s a little bit, stick to these. I just feel like I'm in control a little bit more. I can ride a little harder, a little longer. So really wanted to do a good job on this thing and build it kind of the way I wanted it. We'll start with the motor. I went to Pro Circuit and talked to Mitch a little bit about, okay, I want something that's got really good performance, but that I don't have to worry about blowing up on me or have it, come in and get all the clearances checked and everything every couple of days. So I wanted some reliability to get me through the season. So we did one of their Pro Circuit pistons. We did some head work in this thing, just kind of cleaned up everything inside the motor and did a Tie 6 exhaust system all the way through. And then we added some VP racing fuel. And he said those things together when he threw it on the dyno. This is already a pretty fast bike, so just those things alone really picked up a lot of grunt off the bottom. That was the concept, just to really pick up that bottom end. And they also did the suspension on this bike. Again, Yamaha comes with probably the best stock suspension components, particularly in the 250F class. And they just went through and massaged it, set it up for me, made sure all the sag numbers were right, and that's it. As far as brakes go, left them bone stock. You can put a steel braided line on the front of this thing and get a little bit better performance out of it. But man, you've got to be riding at a really high level to require that. All day today riding, I was never in a situation where I'm like, man, I need this front brake to be stronger. It'll stop you. So didn't mess with any of those things. As far as controls, a big thing to me, I got Pro Taper bars. I cut half an inch off either side, which is the way I like it. And then I tried some of their lock-on grips. I'm not usually a lock-on grip fan because I feel like they're bigger and I have a harder time feeling like I've got a hold of them. But these particular ones, it's like not even a half waffle. It's kind of less than that. Kind of where your thumb and pointer finger go, there's no waffle. And I really like them. So I'm gonna keep playing with those. Works Connection Pro Pegs, which is another big sensitive thing for me. Those things are awesome, super sticky. Definitely be careful walking around the bike with shorts on because you'll bleed if you catch them. And then the Moto Seat seat cover. The Moto Seat guys do an awesome job. Got some ribs on here to hold me in place. And those are all my contact points that I'm real big on. Pro Circuit also provided a link arm on this thing. Acerbis provided all the plastic. This is their gray plastic, which I think is just cool looking on any brand of bike. And then DeCal Works designed the graphics for me to kind of just bring the blue back into it. And pretty stoked on the way it looks and the way it came out. Little Whiskey Throttle Show plug for my show. We also have a lot of Works Connection products on here. So the brake cap, which has my number 101 on there, they can engrave that, put whatever you want on there, which is pretty cool. But also mounts here, a lot of the engine plug kit, rear brake adjuster, all that stuff is all Works Connection. And Dunlop tires, went with a 53 setup on front and rear here. I probably would prefer the 33 rear, to be real honest. There's a couple spots here where it gets sandy and loose, and I can feel this thing spin more there where I know the 33 would hook up. And the 33 doesn't give up a lot on the hard pack. So for me, I like that rear, but this is my go-to front. If you've not tried an MX 53 front, do it. Do yourself a favor, it is awesome. Works Connection clutch perch, which is really nice just to be able to adjust on the fly. Oh, and then we also have a carbon fiber Acerbis front disc guard. And these are good because they actually have a nice solid center to that thing. So it's meant to protect that front disc. It's not just a showpiece and all pretty, although it looks rad. It also really protects that whole front brake system. So if you smash into somebody, you're gonna be able to finish your moto. We also have Pro Taper drivetrain, chain and sprockets. We kept the stock wheels because they look good. They're good Excel Takasago rims. Why wouldn't we keep them? I've also got some Nihilo Concepts frame guards, which are really nice. And you can feel your boots just sticking better to the frame. It's almost like grip tape on a skateboard or something. You just stuck to it. And I was trying to get some lever grips, which I really like as well from Nihilo Concepts. They just didn't come in time. So I'm gonna add those later, but I've used them on other bikes and I love them. So it just gives you, again, another like a grippier feel on the controls. And I really like it. On the track, really like this thing. Like I mentioned earlier, immediately the one thing I noticed was more torque down low. I could roll out of turns on this almost like a 450. Didn't have to be on the clutch and jumps out of turns or whatever, man. You just roll it on and it worked. And then the over rev, slightly better than stock, but I would say the big pickup is bottom end and then a faster acceleration from the bottom to the middle. Just gets there quicker, which means I had to shift a little bit more, but man, you're moving, you're covering ground. So those few little things we did really made a big difference, and I was really excited with it. It has a very throaty, deep sound to it. The couple of things that we did with the chassis, the suspension, worked really well. A little bit stiff initially. I may play with going softer a click or two, but it was new. It didn't have a lot of time on it, so I wanted to get a chance to work in. And by the end of the day, it was definitely working better. And I was riding a little faster, so I was pushing it a little bit harder and it worked better. That's typically the way these things will work when you're set up for intermediate or expert level rider is the harder you ride it, the better it'll work. And I found that to be true on this thing. The harder I pushed into bumps, the better it worked. If I was just out kind of cruising around, it felt kind of harsh and hard. But the second I started pushing again, now it's working well. So really stoked on the suspension. The guys over Pro Circuit did a great job for me. And the comfort of the bike is something that kind of the next thing that grabbed me. Again, I like just shortening my bars up a little bit. I feel like I have, by coming in a little bit, it makes my arms, in theory, a little bit longer so I can get back on the bike more. And we stayed with the stock clamps. And I was gonna maybe put something on here, but I noticed that the factory Yamaha guys did that, and I thought, maybe there's something to it. Stayed with the stock ones, and like I said, I'd have to go back to back with other clamps to see, but I really enjoyed just the way this thing felt. Cornered really well, thing will stick through turns. And again, part of the component of the engine working with the suspension is I can just roll it on out of the turn. I don't have to kind of stab the clutch and upset the chassis. So it was just a nice, smooth power through the turns. But if there's a berm there you want to hit, man, it just blows that up as well. So really fun bike all around. And obviously we do a lot of bells and whistles, but if you just did the performance parts on here, you'd have yourself a really potent machine you could race at a very high level with this bike. I would say anything outside of AMA professional racing and be super competitive, no problem. I want to thank all the companies involved in this build. Really a lot of fun. I'm gonna go put some more time on this thing. I can't wait to actually line up and race this thing. Thank you very much, all the companies involved. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next Vital MX Race Shop build.